All right, welcome to Zlatan's Fight Picks. UFC Fight Night 219. Jessica Andrade versus Erin Blanchfield. All right, we'll try to make this a quick update. This is one of those cards that people are complaining that it's terrible. It's not great, and there was like a last minute sub in for the main event, but it's still going to be a good main event. But you know, when you have like Wright and Pauga as a co-main event, I mean, it's questionable. But that's what happens in these fight nights. I mean, they're trying to do the fights every week, every weekend, and I mean, at some point, you're just not going to have great cards, and you're continually trying to bring in new talent, and people don't know. There's a lot of new guys on this card. So that's going to be interesting with our picks. It's hard to gauge some of the new guys, but let's get into this. We're going to start off with the undercard. I think the main event for the undercard is Landsberg versus Bueno Silva. Landsberg, 5'7", 65.5-inch reach, 10 wins, 7 losses. Landsberg is 40 years old. Bueno Silva, 5'6", 66.5-inch reach. He's got an inch longer reach, inch shorter, but an inch longer reach. 9 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw, 31 years old. There's that magic number of 9 years. It seems like fighters that are, I think, 8 years difference or more win. The younger fighter wins 70% of the time when there's that age gap of 8 or more years. So it's a 9-year age gap. I mean, so 70% of the time, the younger fighter wins. And in this case, I think the younger fighter is going to win. Landsberg is definitely getting older. She's rather one-dimensional. She's exciting to watch. She is called the elbow queen because she likes to elbow people in the face. Now, she likes to elbow them on the ground, but I think she mostly likes to elbow them while you're standing up, and she's got you pinned up against the cage. Now, Bueno Silva, she's a fairly steady fighter. I don't think she's stellar, but I think that she's really solid. Like I really think that she's one of those consistent fighters, consistent top middle kind of area. And in this case, I think she's more than tough enough to handle Landsberg. She's probably strong enough to handle Landsberg, especially Landsberg being 40. And I mean, this fight cannot go to the ground. Well, Bueno Silva is not she has a hard time taking down people. She's got no takedowns, but she's got like 6 submissions because people keep taking her down, and she's so good on the ground, she submits them while she's being taken down. And usually it's off her back. So Landsberg, I don't know if she can take anyone down. I don't think she has taken anyone down. Her takedowns are like 33% accurate or something really low like that. So that's not necessarily her game plan. And I think if she did, it would be the biggest mistake she made. So she needs to keep it on the ground. Bueno Silva has a hard time taking it to the ground, doesn't even try to take it to the ground. So if it's going to be a stand-up fight, I'm still going to give it to Bueno Silva. I think she's still a pretty good striker. Landsberg is a good striker. Does a really good cage work. Bueno Silva will have to get off the cage. If Bueno Silva at some point decides that she needs to work on her takedowns, she would be such a better fighter. And she would add a new wrinkle to her game. We already know she's deadly with submissions. So imagine if she could actually take somebody down, or actually try to take somebody down, or train to take somebody down, rather. So, high probability pick. I've got Bueno Silva on that one. Next fight, Jamal Emmers versus Hussein Ashkabov. Jamal Emmers, 5'10", 74-inch reach, 18 wins, 6 losses, 33 years old. Hussein Ashkabov, 5'8". No reach, no info on that for this guy, but I'd imagine his reach would be about 70 inches. Nevertheless, a lot less Jamal Emmers. Probably 72 inches, 2 inches shorter, 2 inch less reach advantage, but nevertheless an advantage for Emmers in height and in reach. Hussein Ashkaba is 23-0. This guy's never lost. So he's the type of guy that doesn't even know how to lose. So which is a good thing. He is 28 years old. So they're within their prime years. Jamal Emmers. I like Jamal Emmers. Tall, lanky, good striker, decent wrestling, pretty good submission skills. Just a well-rounded, solid guy. And I think with most guys, he's going to surprise them and beat them. And he's really tough, and he'll grind out a fight. And I saw him fight, what's that guy? Giga Chikadze, and he ended up losing a split decision in a striking battle. And Giga Chikadze is an excellent striker, and I actually thought Jamal Emmers might have pulled that off, but it was close. So he's a striker. He's a good striker. I've seen him go to the ground, although he did get submitted with a heel hook, I would think, where that damaged his knee severely by Pat Sabatini, and he's been off for at least a year and a half, 2 years, and I think it's because of that injury. But he was trying an ankle lock of his own at the time when he got the heel hook put on him. So he's talented. Hussein Ashkaba, I mean, there is a big question mark. You can watch this guy on the other circuits, and he's doing everything. He's spinning kicks, spinning hits, submissions. He's doing it all, and he's obviously undefeated. But again, you have to take into account the level of competition. But nevertheless, the guy's 5'8", 28 years old, pretty solid. I mean, I'm gonna have to lean towards him just because what I've seen him do on those regional circuits. Well, I don't know if it's regional, but the other fight networks, he seems to be doing really well. He's confident, he's strong. I think he can pull this off. But again, it's not a high confidence pick, and you'll see on my chart that he's actually a little lower, and that's because I don't know. We just don't know, right? So I mean, it would be good to see him against somebody when you or anybody in that UFC level. Next fight, Saint Preux versus Linz. Saint Preux, 6'3", 80-inch reach, 26 wins, 16 losses, 39 years old, definitely at the end of his career. Linz, 6'2", 78-inch reach, 15 wins, 5 losses, 37 years old. Not as old, but getting up there as well. I would say Saint Preux definitely looks a little older, is a little slower than Linz. Linz was a heavyweight, and he's moved down to light heavyweight. And I think that well, you know what? I've always actually liked the way he fought. I always thought he fought pretty solid. He doesn't fight a lot, but he's a pretty solid guy. I don't know if people, sometimes they say he's chinny. I really don't think he's that chinny. I think he's got some power. He's good on the ground. And I think he's just too small for the heavyweights. But I think he's going to do much better in this light heavyweight division. And Saint Preux was once a contender, but I think he's at the tail end of it. Even though he's still dangerous, he doesn't do a lot of volume. He's always kicking at you with that front T kick. He's trying to catch you with a counter left, or counter left or check hook. Sorry, and he's good at it, and he's been doing it for years. So I mean, there's always a chance that he could win. But I think that in this fight, he's going to get outpointed. He's going to get outworked. I think St. Preux is trying not to lose. He's getting probably a decent amount of money to fight. And he's a good fighter. He's going to beat most guys. And he's really big. He's hard to get at. But I think Linz is in that range where he's almost as big and almost as good at bigger reach. So I think that he's going to be a lot more aggressive. He just got to be careful not to get countered. But I think Linz might be able to take him to the ground. St. Preux is good on the ground as well, so he's got to be careful. But I'm slightly leaning towards Linz on this fight. I don't mind him. I think he's 37. He still might have a couple of good years, and he might, get up there in the rankings in the light heavyweight division. I don't know how many more fights he's going to fight. He doesn't seem to fight a lot. So Linz will be the pick, slight. Next fight, Nazim Sadikov versus Evan Elder. Nazim Sadikov, 5'10", 69-inch reach, 7 wins, 1 loss, 28 years old. Evan Elder, 5'10", 72-inch reach, 7 wins, 1 loss, 25 years old. Evan Elder, tough guy. I saw him in his debut, fought against a wrestler, last minute, I think he was put in there in the last minute. He fought in the welterweight division, and he is a lightweight, so he got pounded on for quite a while, but he took his shots and he fought through it. And he ended up losing that fight. It was a straightforward 30-27 decision, but he's a grinder, he's tough, he's well-rounded, he can take people to the ground, he rather probably strike, so he's more of a striker. But he did really well in that fight. He's definitely somebody that is entertaining to watch. He won't quit, can take a punch, and is hard to finish. Nazim Sadikov, again, 7-1. There's not a lot on him where you get to know him, but I've seen him do, again, takedowns. He's well-rounded. Takedowns, good striker. 7-1. I think he fought on he fought a guy in the Dana White Contender Series. He did really well. He fought a really tough guy too. The guy he fought was actually pretty good. And he ended up winning that fight. And there was a little bit of adversity, but he ended up coming through. And so from what I saw from him, he's a pretty good fighter. I think he might be a little bit better on the ground than Evan. I'm gonna go slightly leaning with Sadikov, just because I think he's gonna win, and it's a slight lean. Again, Elder, still young. We haven't seen a lot from him at this level, and Sadikov, again, we haven't seen a lot from him at this level. So I'm going to lean slightly towards Sadikov on this one. And you'll see on the chart where they are, the fighters that I'm kind of leaning towards, or we don't have a lot of tape on, or we're not sure if they're going to fight at this level and how well they're going to do. We've got them further down the parlay line, further down the legs. Next fight, AJ Fletcher, Temba versus Temba Gorimbo. AJ Fletcher, 5'10", 67-inch reach, 9 wins, 2 losses, 25 years old. Temba Gorimbo, 6 feet tall, 76.5-inch reach, 10 wins, 3 losses, 32 years old. Age is okay. They seem to have a good record. It seems like Timba's got a 9-inch reach advantage, which is huge. And tall, lanky, strong, durable fighter who tries to take the fights to the ground. He's an okay striker. I just don't know if watching him fight, if he knows how to use his reach advantage. He's got pretty good kicks. I'd imagine this guy's improving all the time, and he's fighting the lower level circuits. So the guys he has been beating aren't really hot UFC level guys. And the guys he's lost to haven't been UFC level guys. But there is a certain type of person he does seem to lose to. And he seems to lose to really good grapplers, or people who can take him to the ground. If you can take him to the ground and get on top of him, you've got him beat. Because he has a hard time getting off his back. When he's on top and he takes you to the ground, he's great at the ground and pound. AJ Fletcher, the first fight I've seen him against Sebelsberger was a really close fight. I think it was a split decision. His first fight, I think he came in the last minute. He did great. I thought, man, this kid is great. And then I saw him against, is it Lumba? The next fight, was it Lumba? I can't remember his name. Anyways, he came in and he gassed so bad. He got outstruck, gassed, just beaten down, but he fought through it. But he gassed. He ended up was getting outstruck. He was striking back fairly well, but the other guy outstruck him, put him on his heels. He came back in the second round, almost knocked the guy out, burned himself out, and from the after the second round, halfway mark, he was done. He basically just lied there and got punched on the ground. And then in the third round, he had a little bit of energy at the beginning, and then he ran out real quick, and kind of the same thing, got just beaten up on the ground because he was so gassed he couldn't even move. So I don't know about AJ Fletcher, because when I saw that, I'm there like, well, what happens with this guy? Is he going to gas? Is he going to burn out and be lying there? But he's exciting. He's very physical. He's strong. He can wrestle. He can punch. He can take a punch. I really like him. I just question about that cardio. Now, Gorimbo, he's always evolving. Now, let's say if we're dealing with Gorimbo the way it stands, I would lean towards AJ Fletcher. But if Gorimbo just does some slight adjustments where he's learning how to get up off his back, he's going to cause AJ a huge amount of problems, because AJ, I think, might have a gas problem in general. I think maybe that's just the way he's built. He's very stocky, very muscular, and some guys just don't have as good a gas tank, where Gorimbo has a great gas tank, period. So I would say AJ Fletcher should win this, but I've got it as a 50-50 where I've got him in my parlays where I'm picking AJ, but I've also got one parlay where I pick Gorimbo. But that's the only fight I did that with. And I mean, Gorimbo is a fairly decent underdog, so, and the payout would be so much better. But again, those are the question marks. And I mean, we'll see. But yeah, when we go over it on the board. But slight lean, it's a 50-50, but I'm just like, yeah, Fletcher should do it. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't bet on this fight or bet on both ways. Next fight, Clayton Carpenter versus Juan Camilo Ronderos. Clayton Carpenter, 5'6", 66-inch reach, 6-0-0, 26 years old. Juan Camilo Ronderos, 5'4", 64-inch reach, 4 wins, 1 loss, 28 years old. You saw Ronderos got last minute fought Dvorak, which was the Undertaker, and he got submitted with a one-arm choke. It was a last-minute fight. He got put in there. He went out swinging, just try to take this guy out. I think he knew he didn't have a gas tank. He got caught. He got taken down. He got submitted with a one-arm choke, which is questionable. I mean, it was only one arm. You'd think he'd fight through it, but Dvorak is a good submission guy. So anyways, it wasn't too impressive. I think he had a shoulder injury, and now he's been taken off a couple of years. A lot of questions on there. Clayton Carpenter likes to take people to the ground. Just a grinder. In his Dana White Contender Series, he fought a really tough guy. I can't remember his name. He's a Mexican guy. Really tough. Got pieced up in the first round, but he kept grinding and grinding and grinding, and eventually he got to the guy and he won a decision. It was a decisive decision. He took the last 2 rounds, but he fought well. He struck as well as he can against a really good striker, and he grinded through it, outgassed him, took him down to the ground, ground and pounded. Pretty solid kid. I like him. I think he's going to win. Fairly high confidence in this fight. Next fight. Now we're going to the main card. We're going to go backwards on the main card. So we'll go from the first fight to the main event. First fight, Miller versus Hernandez. Is it Jason Miller? I guess. Jason Miller, 5'8", 71-inch reach, 35 wins, 16 losses, 39 years old. Hernandez, 5'9", 72-inch reach, 13 wins, 6 losses, 30 years old. Again, we go to that magic number, 9 years old, in a critical point in their life, where this guy's almost 40, and in these lightweight divisions, of course, that is the tail end of it. Although Miller hasn't really shown that much signs of slowing down. He's slowed down, but I think he's also really smart, and he's fighting within his physical ability, and he just knows so much in the fight game that he's kind of adapted to being a little older. He might be a little slower, might be a little this, but he might not be able to take as much damage. But I think he's worked that into his game plan, and he keeps surprising me. And I always want to bet against him, and I keep losing. So I'm not going to bet against him. but Alexander Hernandez came out, when he came in his career, he came out swinging. He was a high prospect, but I don't know what happened. It just seems like this guy seems to gas. He's very muscular. He's just, I don't know, it's after a while, if he doesn't get his way, he just almost seems like he loses confidence, and he loses his will, and he gets tired. He keeps bouncing from 145 to 155. I think he's back at 155 now. I don't know. He's the more powerful striker. He's probably the more technical striker. But I don't expect him to be very strong after the second or first round. Miller is definitely, well, I don't know if he's the better striker, but he's a smarter striker. And he's got a pretty good ground game, pretty good takedown defense, well-rounded, and he's got a gas tank, and he can go all the way to the 3 rounds. So I think if Miller doesn't get caught, I think he grinds this out in a decision. Slight favor towards Miller. Next fight, William Knight versus Marcin Prachniow. William Knight, 5'10", 73-inch reach, 11 wins, 4 losses, 34 years old. Marcin Prachniow, 6'4", 74-inch reach, 15 wins, 6 losses, 34 years old. Same years. Prachniow has got a 1-inch reach advantage, got a 5-inch in height, so he's got long legs. He's going to be able to, and he likes kicking, so that's going to be a huge advantage. William Knight wants to take this to the ground, put him up against the cage, punch him, take him down from the cage. Prachniow wants to stay away at range and kick and punch. William Knight just got that really muscular body type. He's really powerful. I don't think that body type works very well. It's a all or nothing, kind of fight. He's either going to gas, because he's questionable with his gas tank. He's got a lot of muscle. He's moving down from heavyweight. He's either going to gas or he's going to knock this guy out. So I think Prachniow, everyone says he's chinny, but I don't know. Like, I've seen him take quite a bit of punishment and then recover and keep swinging, and he's just got a little bit of dog in him, and he doesn't want to quit. I think he's going to have troubles on the ground, but he's a hard guy to take down, and he's got pretty good takedown defense, and he seems like he can get back up. So he's kind of worked that into his game plan. I think he's getting better at it. And he's very determined. I don't know from what I see of him, I kind of think he's going to grind this one out. I don't think William Knight is that good. I don't think he's as good as everybody says. And Prachniow is the slight underdog. It is going to be a close fight, but I think that I'm leaning Prachniow. A lot of people are pretty confident that Prachniow won't win. I think that he's going to pull this off. I think this is his weight class. I think William Knight is moving down to light heavyweight. I just don't think he's going to win this. This guy's going to be too tall. He's going to be catching him coming in. And I don't know. I'm not saying he's going to knock him out, but I don't think William Knight is going to outlast Prachniow. So, slight lean towards Prachniow. Not a slight lean, a decent lean. Next fight. Josh Parisian versus Jamal Pogues. Josh Parisian, 6'4", 79-inch reach. 15 wins, 5 losses, 33 years old. Jamal Pogues, 6'3", 77-inch reach. 9 wins, 3 losses. Well, Jamal Pogues, we don't know Jamal Pogues. How he hasn't fought in the UFC. He hasn't fought to that level. But he was a light heavyweight. He did fairly good. I think he's a fairly good grappler. He's a good wrestler. He seems like he's got a good jab. He seems to have a good chin. And I don't know, I don't like it when he's throwing jabs. He's out and throwing his right. He always seems to have his hand low. He looks like the kind of guy that can get caught, and I don't know if he's he's been around enough decent competition to take advantage of that, and this could be the case. But he has moved up to heavyweight now, so he's not a huge heavyweight, but he's a decent sized heavyweight. So he could get pushed around against the cage by Josh. He's going to have a harder time to take Josh down. I think he can. He's going to have to be careful with Josh's spinning attacks. Josh is very dynamic. Josh does seem to gas and does seem to lose some of his power, but he's still dynamic enough where he conjures up enough power in the late rounds for that one punch knockout. But it's kind of one punch at a time for the huge knockouts. But he does do, otherwise he'd just do a lot of volume. He like just kind of pitter patter and tries to wear you out. So, but he likes to highlight kind of real punches, and it seems like it's a power bar. He'll do like one every minute of a super powerful punch, and the rest of the time it's pitter patter. But he's a grinder, and he doesn't have a great gas tank, but that's why he's a grinder. He just kind of fights through it. Last time he won, he took a guy down, which normally he doesn't do. And the fight before that, he was taken down and ground and pounded. But Josh is a good fighter. He's tough. This is going to be Jamal Pogue's toughest competition. I'm leaning towards Jamal Pogues. I mean, I'm hoping he has fixed, that holding his hands, how he holds his hands. I think if it goes to the later rounds, he's going to grind down, and I think he's going to have a better gas tank. Parisian will be able to lean on him against the cage just because Parisian's going to be so much bigger. He's going to have at least 20, 30 pounds on him. Slightly leaning towards Pogues. I mean, Parisian is the bottom of the barrel as far as UFC heavyweights. I guess we'll find out where Pogues is in that. If you can't beat him, I mean, where's he going to be? He's below the bottom, right? So, slight lean towards Pogues. It's going to be close. Next fight. The co-main event of the evening. It sounds so special, but guess what? It's Wright versus Pauga. And Wright's 6'2", 77-inch reach, 12-4. He was a middleweight. Now he's moving up to light heavy to fight in this. He's 31 years old. He's going to try his hat at light heavy. Super exciting guy to watch. Usually fights within the first round. He knocks somebody out, somebody knocks him out. So I think he lost 4 in a row, but he's always in it for the first round. Let me tell you, he's always in it. He's always dangerous. Karate style. He's put a new wrinkle in his game where he's doing takedowns, but his gas tank sucks. I don't know if it's going to be any better. I don't know if he wants to change his style. Everyone likes to watch this guy fight. I mean, I actually like to watch this guy fight because it's exciting. You're just holding your breath because something's going to happen. Somebody's going to get knocked out. Zach Pauga, 6 foot tall, 76-inch reach, 6 wins, 1 loss, 34 years old. They're both in their prime. They're both roughly about the same height, little height to right. So Pauga was a heavyweight. I think he was a light heavyweight. Then he fought in the house where for the UFC. He fought in heavyweight, and then he did really well against the heavyweights. He's consistent. He can take punches. He can take people to the ground. He's pretty fast with his boxing. He ended up getting a really bad KO in the finale against Usman. Usman's older, bigger brother, who's just a monster. So he caught him with a good solid left, and he knocked him out cold. I don't think Pauga's chinny, but it just goes to show he can get knocked out. He's not impossible to get knocked out. Wright has got some really crisp punches. He can knock people out, so he's got to be careful of that. I don't know where the speed advantage is going to go. I know Wright's quick. I know Pauga's quick. I hope he's learned from him getting caught. I think Pauga's going to have the better gas tank. This fight goes past the first round. Pauga's going to win. So Pauga's got to wear on Wright without being in danger, right? And I think he's a very cerebral fighter, and he's careful. So we'll see how he's doing. But this is the first UFC level competition that he's fighting. So, and Wright has fought a lot of UFC level competition. So take it from that. But I'm still leaning towards Paga fairly decently. So next fight, the finale, the main event. Jessica Andrade, 5'1", 62-inch reach, 24 wins, 9 losses, 31 years old. Erin Blanchfield, 5'4", 66-inch reach, 10 wins, 1 loss, 23 years old. We're having 8-year difference, but it's not in that critical time. So I'm actually, as far as experience and power and age, I would say 31 years is probably the better age to be. Jessica Andrade, we know who she is. She's good. She's durable. She's a great boxer, bully type of fighting. Good on the ground, good takedown defense, well-rounded. I mean, she's 5'1". She's dealing with a 3-inch height advantage, a 4-inch reach advantage for the other fighter. But she's been dealing with this all the time. She's always been that short. She didn't get short. So I think she can deal with this. I think that she's a solid fighter. And the last fight she had, she showed a lot of technical boxing where usually you see her going forward and just kind of a bully style and swinging and punching. She showed a very much more technical style of boxing because she fought a fighter that was a lot taller than her, a longer reach, even though she was more of a wrestler. And you see her just destroy her on the feet. So I think that Erin Blanchfield, I mean, she's great on the ground. She's kind of awkward standing up, but she's just using her stand up just to get close enough to take you to the ground, I guess, right? So, I mean, she can fight. She's durable. I think that she's going to want to get close enough to take Andrade to the ground. I don't know if she can take Andrade to the ground. I watched her when Blanchfield fought J.J. Aldrich. I mean, J.J. Aldrich, who's like a mid-level fighter, was just destroying her on her feet until she was trying to take Blanchfield down. I don't know if she took her down one time, but she just kind of hovered in that guillotine choke area for like what seemed like 20 seconds. I don't know if she was resting or trying to take her down. And finally, Blanchfield locked in a guillotine. And it was one of those elbow up guillotines standing up. Which was exactly the kind of guillotine that Andrade beat. Andrade beat Milos with a standing arm guillotine. Same one. So they both know how to do it. So Blanchfield, I mean, she hasn't fought a really high level of competition. Everybody keeps saying this girl is like the next thing, but who has she really beaten? She beat Maverick, who's been exposed. She's like very mid-level to lower mid-level. She beat J.J. Aldrich, which is mid-level. She beat Meatball Molly McCann, again, maybe upper mid-level. I mean, I think that Andrade, the question mark for Andrade, she's a last-minute substitute. So she fought 2 weeks ago. And now she was called last week to fight this week. That would be the only question. I don't think Andrade loses this fight. I think the more question is she okay from 2 weeks ago and how's her cardio? But I think that it's in that realm of, I'm not worried about her cardio as long as she didn't get hurt and she's recovered from all her bumps and bruises and everything else. But I don't think Andrade would take this fight if she can't win. Because she's almost at a point where she can fight for a title again. So this is, I mean, unless she's gotten a ridiculous amount of money to do it, and then maybe she'll do it. But I think Andrade wins this fight. I don't think Blanchfield can take her down. I think Andrade can get up. I think she's got good takedown defense. I'm not a fan of Blanchfield. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. I bet money on her. I just don't think she's going to beat Andrade. And I'm fairly high in confidence in this. We'll see. Famous last words, right? So let's go over the chart. All right. Let's see. Hopefully everybody can see this. what do we got here? Do we have the winning formula? Do we have the winning formula? All right, what do we got? 55%. The two at the 55% mark, the most confidence are Andrade and Bueno Silva. 53%, Carpenter, Pauga. 52%, Prochnil. The brown line means underdog. So he's actually an underdog, but I'm fairly confident that he's going to pull this off. Hopefully he does, then we'll be in a decent money-making range. 51%, Pogues, Miller, Linz. Again, Miller, underdog. Every time we reach a line, it'll be more and more payouts, right? So 50% plus, which is just leaning in. These are the two Russian guys, Ashkabov and Sadikov. Now, they're good. Again, both of them, we have to see how good they are in the UFC. So that's why I got them at a 50 plus. 50-50, Fletcher, Gorimbo. I'm leaning towards Fletcher, but realistically, I mean, once you do the parlay up to here, this fight's not included. You can either just not include it, or you could have a parlay with him in it and an extra parlay with Gorimbo in it. Gorimbo is going to be a much higher payout because he's a bigger underdog. So I would do the parlay where I do these two fighters, which I've done. So I've done all these parlays, so I'm going to know exactly what works and what doesn't work. These two fighters will be one parlay. These two fighters will be one parlay. This I just skipped, just because it's a straight up bet. You could bet on it just as a single bet. This three fights I'm doing as a separate parlay. These two fights I'm doing a separate parlay. This one I'm just avoiding at all. So then I do the parlay. The next parlay I do these two groups together, and the next parlay I do 1, 2, 3 groups together, and the next parlay I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4 groups together. The next parlay I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups together. And if you want to do the one more parlay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But what I've done is I did the 6 with Fletcher, and then I did 6 with Gorimbo. That is going to be the plan for this week, and we'll see how that works out. Hopefully it works out. I mean, these are going to be the most critical ones here. Once we get past this, then I think we get some of our money back. So if this wins, then we're probably, maybe depending on how the odds work out, once we get to here, we're good. So this is going to be the keys right here. These high percentage ones. These are going to be the key. The high percentage ones has to win for the longer parlays to come through. And of course, these ones, if they win, then individually, the small parlays can win as well. So we'll leave it at that. But we also do Bet Online. It's a website where 50% deposit matched up to $1,000. We bet, win inside the distance, decision, no action. I have a link in the description, which means these fighters, which I picked here, are going to win inside the distance. And if it goes to a decision, no matter who wins, if it's a decision, there is no bet. Bets get canceled. So I picked Pauga, win inside the distance. Carpenter, win inside the distance. Bueno Silva, win inside the distance. Sadikov, win inside the distance. Ashkabov and Andrade, which win inside the distance. I'm basically picking these guys because I think they're going to win no matter what. And I'm going with win inside the distance. And if they go to decision, they're not going to lose. And if they lose a decision, they're not going to lose. So I'm picking the guys that I don't think will get knocked out as well. That's the logic behind it. And so far, we've been pretty much getting them all right. So those are the bets for that. If you want to try it, you have to just sign up for Bet Online. And I don't think there's anything else. We're going to cut this short this week. Too many things to do. Sorry for the delay, guys. Yeah, sorry for the delay. It's Friday. Running really late this week, but just trying to squeeze it out. Try to get it done yesterday, couldn't do it. Try to get it done the day before, couldn't do it. But finally squeezed out enough time today and just trying to rush through this actually because got other things to do today. But sorry for the delay. There's still plenty of time to make your bets, and hopefully this week we win some money with the bets. Remember, don't bet more than you can lose. Play within your means. Sometimes you're gonna win, sometimes you're gonna lose. Hopefully we always come up in the plus money in the long run. Not financial advice, but let's go for it. All right. See you guys. I'll see you a recap. Hopefully with a recap, I'll have a rake to rake it all in. All right. So I'll see you guys next week. Bye. Oh, don't forget, like and subscribe. Thank you.